Hi everyone, my name is Dawn, and today I'm going to go over 10 extremely important academic words that you will need to know, especially if you're planning to take a TOEFL or an IELTS exam. If you are learning English right now, definitely go ahead, subscribe to this channel, and definitely hit that little bell so that you get notifications for the next video. So let's talk about academic words. Why are they important? Why should you know them? Well, like I mentioned, if you're planning to take a TOEFL or an IELTS exam, these are going to be very common words that you will see in the exam. So you should probably get very familiar with them. Otherwise, you will be surprised, especially if you start talking to more and more native English speakers, that they use these words in a casual conversation pretty often. And so that's another reason why you should learn them. And this is really going to help those of you who are trying to really go from intermediate to an advanced English speaker. Having these words in your vocabulary are really going to elevate how much you know, and also portray that you do know English very well. All right, so these are just 10 of many words. I will make more videos about this later, but let's start with number 1, adequate. If something is adequate, it kind of means that something is just okay, satisfactory. Like maybe you wanted to do something that was extremely well. Maybe you wanted to play basketball and play the best game of your life, but in the end it was just okay. It was just adequate. And also adequate can mean that it just suits your needs. If you are satisfied and you're like, okay, I mean, this was adequate. I'm satisfied. It wasn't the best, but I'm satisfied. Number 2, allocate. So if you need to allocate something, that means that you're putting something to the side. So we don't necessarily use this if I need to allocate my highlighter. Maybe, sure, but that would sound strange. But we would talk about it in terms of like a conversation. Like, let's allocate this. Let's just move on. Let's talk about something else. So as you can see, we're putting it to the side. So that could be a reason why you would use allocate, or even things that are really relevant to business things. So here's an example that would be really relevant for business. The authorities allocated 50,000 places for refugees. So they set aside 50,000 places just for refugees. Do you understand? Or when we're talking about money, then I could say, I need to allocate at least $10,000 to my savings so that I don't touch it. So you can see I am moving it to the side. All right, let's move on to number 3, ambiguous. What is ambiguous? So if something is ambiguous, it basically means that something is kind of hard to understand. Maybe it is a little mysterious and you're just confused. So for example, I could watch a movie and maybe it's a really terrible job, but I could say it's a little ambiguous. Or maybe you're having a difficult conversation with somebody and they are just not saying anything that makes sense to you. So that conversation would be ambiguous. So for something that is kind of hard to understand or it just doesn't make sense. Number 4, boast. When you are boastful, or if you are watching someone who is boasting, that means that somebody is really talking about like how privileged they are, or if they're talking about like how amazing they are or how talented they are. Like somebody who has a lot of self-righteousness is kind of boastful. So bragging, for example, bragging is the exact equivalent. So if you're bragging about how much money you have, you're bragging about your new clothes, that is boast. They are boasting. Let's talk about number 5, seize. So this you would probably hear a lot in movies. Like if there is especially war, they would say ceasefire, and that would mean stop. So if you are seizing something, you are stopping something. All right, and this would be a perfect little point in our video to talk about my roadmap. So if you are learning English right now, I would highly suggest to download this free roadmap just in the corner up here, where you are going to go basically through a road to get to the top where your English goals are met. So I've created this entire document for free just for you, where you are going to figure out all the milestones you need to get to be from your level right now to the top, which would be your ideal peak English performance. So definitely check that out. It's just at the link up here. All right, moving on to number 6, decipher. When you're trying to decipher something, it means that you're trying to understand something. So maybe you're given a puzzle and you're like, okay, how do I get through this? How do I decipher this? So how do I solve this? So you see what I mean here? So we are deciphering something means that we're literally trying to find a solution for something. Or even maybe if you are listening to a native English speaker who's speaking so fast, you're trying to decipher what they are saying. So you're trying to interpret, you're trying to understand. So decipher. Number 7, deplete. So deplete can be used in many different cases in business and can be used in medical terms. So when something depletes, it means that something is significantly getting smaller and smaller and smaller, significantly. And so, for example, his heart rate depleted. So that could mean his heart rate went way down, for example. Or in other words, in other terms like business, could be like, oh, the savings have totally depleted. So all of our savings for this project has depleted. It is like gone, almost nothing. So it's significantly depleted. Number 8, deviate. So when you are deviating something, it means that you are literally changing directions. So maybe you had a plan and you're going this way forward, but then you're like, oh, I want to go get some candy at that Walmart over there. So then you deviate from where you were originally going. And this could be literally, like how I just explained, or it could mean something in business, like we are on track with where we want to be. Oh, but then John over there has deviated from the plan because he wants to start something new. So as you can see, this is in a business example when maybe we're working as a team and then somebody decided to deviate away. Number 9, evade. So evade is especially common when you're listening to the news. And one reason for that is because the definition of evade means to escape or to avoid. So escaping and avoiding. And this is commonly used especially for like fugitives or people who are running away from authorities. They are evading. So they're trying to run away from the police or they're trying to run away from whatever the case is. So very commonly used in the news. Number 10, feasible. So something that is feasible means that it's possible. So for example, if you tell your parents when you're a kid, like, oh, Mom, I want to go to Disneyland. It would be so fun. I want to bring my friends. Like maybe your parents would say, oh, no way. Or they could say, oh, that could be feasible. So it could be a possibility. Like we have to look at our money. We have to look at vacation time, but it's feasible. It's a possibility. So there you go. Feasible. All right, so that is our list of 10 academic words that you should know if you're trying to go ahead going from intermediate to advanced in English. Now, how are you able to practice them? Well, I definitely suggest start writing down, take notes of all of these words, make your own examples of them, and then leave them in the comments below, and I will take a look at them to make sure you're on the right track. All right, otherwise, that is all for today. I will see you next time.